Yes, folks, I'm Kphred with my co-host Barbara Wainwright. We're back again today with another episode of Kphred Prime Live Down the Rabbit Hole. Today's question is from the former tortoise lady, and we're going to find out the stunning tortoise news very, very soon. But how we doing, Barbara?
We are doing fantastic, Phred. I'm super excited to share with everybody some news. Do you want to hear it?
Ooh, yeah. News? We always love news.
Okay. Blog Talk Radio is going away. That's the news. You want to hear the rest of the news, though? There's actually a little bit more to that.
No, this news is has guided my last 2-3 weeks. Caused me sleepless nights.
Sleepless nights. Okay, so for everybody listening on Blog Talk Radio, we have some really good news. And that is that Kphred.com, Kphred Radio, is a great substitute for Blog Talk Radio.
Ooh. So you're talking about the fact that effectively starting January, we'll be offering either dial-in callers to the phone number 17249Kphred, or for some of the other dial-in shows, they'll actually have their own number like Good News.
Right. So for anybody that's on Blog Talk Radio hosting a show, it'd be a very good idea to reach out to Kphred.com. That's Kphred.com.
So you're going to make me put something on the front. All right. Well, all right.
I'm putting you to work, Phred.
It's true. This is one of those things of we've been using that dial-in number from them from the Mike Bowler days, and it's one of probably 3 numbers that I actually keep. Phone numbers 4 maybe 5 phone numbers, 2 of them which I own in my head. Everything else is contact, but and fortunately we foresaw the need, and Jeff Norris, Dads for Dads, started building it a couple of months ago to the point where, yep, we got our own dial-in phone system. Who knew?
You knew, obviously. You were on it before it even happened. It's just something that was probably intuitive or something, right, Phred?
Or megalomaniac. I don't know. Either way.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Before we get to our guest, we got to bring in the Kat Becker, who's gone into the post-tortoise age.
Post-tortoise age.
And
oh
tell us the news.
I'm really tripping you up not being able to call me the tortoise lady, aren't I?
I actually had, as part of 2025's marketing plan, tortoise videos with Kphred show hosts. Here's a dude that's as old as the tortoises joining us, but we'll get to him in a minute. It is. So tell our listeners, Jeff Norris is going to be heartbroken.
I know. I'm so sorry to disappoint you. I mean, I have been keeping tortoises and turtles literally since I was 8 years old. So a very long time. And they've always been everywhere I had a job, every office I was ever in, I had a tank on my desk with pond turtles in it. And people would come by and they'd ask to feed them. And it was just always a thing. And recently, well, not recently, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, we adopted 2 supposedly female sulcatas, and they needed to stay together, and we have lots of acreage that they could roam and have wonderful tortoise life to live out, their remaining 70 years, because that's a burden I have placed on my children. And
I love you.
turns out they're both male, and a couple of years ago they reached sexual maturity and started fighting with each other. And when tortoises fight, they ram each other, and they weighed about 40 pounds. And so when they would ram you, like, they did not hold back. So it was a lot of weight coming at you. And they started ramming people's ankles because they just started seeing everybody as a threat. So it became a hazard to walk in my backyard. But then they would also be flipping each other over. And if they're on their back for too long, then their lungs collapse and they die. And so then we had to separate them. And then they were living these really sad lives, and I was like, I'm sure I can find someplace better that can give them a home. So we rehomed one of them, thinking the one that would remain would live a good life. But no, he still was a jerk and wanted to harm everyone and dig giant holes and still tried to escape. I mean, there were times where people would call me being like, your tortoise is out, and he was, 2 farms over, just chugging through the field, man on a mission, and I'd have to go drive my car into the field and pick him up and put him in my trunk and drive him home. And so it was like, okay, I think my time, I think I've, whatever, ancient dharma I had with tortoises, I feel like it has been completed, and how I can move on to being a tortoise-free person.
All right, so had you thought about importing a couple of female tortoises?
Well, the problem why there's so many tortoises, especially particular sulcatas, out in the market that need homes, is because they're so adorably cute when they are little, because they are little itty bitty. They just are so precious, and people adopt them not realizing what's required going down the line. So I didn't want to become part of the problem and have baby tortoises brought into the world that then would need care later on down the road. So, there you go, tortoise free.
I'm saddened. There's a whole lot of other comments, because you are talking about an 80-year lifespan of a tortoise, and wow, that's really mucking with folks' lives.
They're a commitment. They are absolutely a commitment. They are so fun. They were like dogs when they weren't trying to attack us and ram us. I mean, they would come when they were called and would follow you around for treats, and it was a real joy to have them. But situation changed, and we had to adapt and adjust.
That sounds like it's the ugly.
Yeah, it is. In some ways, I feel like I just saddled that responsibility on an unwitting stranger.
You did. But hopefully there'll be a female tortoise closer.
Maybe so, or maybe just not knowing that there was another male, they'll be more happy with their territory and not feeling like they have to defend it all the time.
I'm thinking when you're 2 farms over, like, you're out looking for a female.
Well, the craziest thing is, like, they had specialized feed that comes from, like, this company that supplies zoos, and our local feed shop, that gives, has hay and horse grain and cattle grain and chicken feed and all the other things. They would carry this specialized tortoise food because there were enough people in this area that kept them as pets. So I would just stop by the feed store and, get chickens and goats and cows and all the things and be like, I'm here for the tortoise feed. And they're like, okay. It's like, this is such an odd, like, very specialized subset of the population.
Okay. All right. So, Barbara, do you have any tortoise comments?
Well, we had one, and he got so big, he couldn't fit in a car or a truck. I mean, he got huge. I don't know. There was something wrong with him when we took him to the pet store when he was a year old. They thought he was 3 years old, and he was only 1 year old. And so there was something a little off in that he grew really big, really fast. We ended up taking him to a turtle rescue it's a big property out in Rancho Santa Fe or something out in California here. Anyway, so he got rescued, and when we took him there was a bunch of but they were all little. This guy was big. He was so big you could not pick him up. He was so big. So it took 3 people to get him into a van. I think it was a truck bed to get him over to the rescue place. So, and one time he escaped. He escaped from the backyard and was making his way down the highway or the road, and a lady stopped her vehicle and went, "What is that?" And she got him arrested, and we had to go fetch him out of jail. So that's my turtle story.
Wow.
Yep.
So what I'm almost hearing is Cat escaped becoming a tortoise, having to go to jail to pick up her tortoise.
Yeah, he was in animal jail. The animal people took him, and it cost me $25 to get him out of jail.
Oh, gee.
Yep.
I'm the fact that there's turtle jail just kind of disturbs me.
I understand. Oh my god!
All right, so we've got 3 wonderful we got one of our newer show hosts joining us. He's as old as a turtle, or older. Yep. He came over with Leif Erikson. As I like to call him and piss him off, Professor Howard Larson. The trade show fanatic is what he likes. He's as smart
only
as
when
he's
I
old.
need to.
I know. He's as smart as he's old. I can say that he's got more white hair than I do. And he's got grandkids in Barcelona. How are the grandkids?
Yeah. You betcha.
How are the grandkids?
They're good. They're good. We saw the granddaughter via internet doing a Christmas dance. She's quite the performer. We're thinking of enrolling her into professional dance. And the grandson's, the oldest is only 2, so he's into trains right now.
Oh, yeah.
So, and there is a Christmas train coming through Gurnee today, so maybe we'll have to pick him up and head to Viking Park of all places. Hey, in Viking Park, it's in Gurnee. Look it up. The CN Canadian National Christmas train is going to stop there.
I don't know. I'll have to check with my daughter because my 5-year-old grandson loves trains, and I've got a couple of engines I'm bringing him back. It's not the right scale, but when I'm doing the train stuff with him, it's just like the rest of the universe no longer exists.
Yeah. The train was in Union and Pingree Grove 2 days ago.
All right.
Next weekend it heads to Minneapolis, St. Paul.
All right. Before we go to the trade show news, Barbara, you got a train anecdote or comment question you want to ask?
No train comments, news, or otherwise.
Kat, what about you? Any train news? No train news?
I was trying to think, is there any, has anything new happened with the train in a really long time? Like, they kind of figured out that whole steam engine thing and, we're just going to stick with it.
Oh, yeah. Disney is selling O-Gauge down there. That's my grandson's first one that he plays with his dad and now grandpa. And I had one kind of like it without the Disney stuff as a kid, and fond memories there. It was like universe disappears when we're playing trains.
Yeah, we were a big train family when my son was little. Thomas the Train was everything, but
oh yeah,
definitely haven't had any trains in my life. I don't understand trains. I've gotten lost several times in Europe trying to take the train system. So now I just flat out refuse. I will fly or drive because I can't figure trains out.
Oh, how can you get lost on a European train?
When you get off at the wrong stop because you don't understand that it's not a start and stop like a plane. and you don't realize, well, how do I know where my stuff is?
So I had great success with the train in Europe, but I did have that happen on the south side of Chicago once going home. I missed I fell asleep. I was coming home from work and I missed the call to swap trains at 59th because I was asleep. And we stopped in the last place, and the woman putting 2 coats on her 2 kids as we got out looked at me like, dude, you're in really, really, really the wrong place. And I said, how the hell did I get here? It's okay. I made it back. So, trade show news, Howard. What's up in trade show news?
Right now, I'm in the rest between the storms. I do not have a scheduled show until February. I have about 6 notebooks full of notes from various trade shows, all the good and the bad. I'm on a vendetta against the National Restaurant Show because they won't let me register after 30 years, and I'm publicly making it known.
He's pissing off the NRA.
Hey, if they don't want me, the world will know. But the National Home Show decided to let me back in for free.
Excellent.
But so there's a lot of good things coming. I mean, we had the Workboat Show down in New Orleans. That was always fun. And, of course, the IFT Show, International Food Technology Show, Chicago chapter. You got to love food, And lo and behold, 2 days ago, I found I won a raffle of 2 boxes of some Oriental soup that my wife is going to make.
What, you can't make it?
She'll probably do a better job. The IFT has been good to me. I was at the IFT Minneapolis or Minnesota show, and lo and behold, in a raffle, I won a iPod at that show too. So I'm on a lucky streak. My wife wants me to buy a raffle ticket.
Okay, that works. That works for me. Please do win big.
Yeah,
I know that's a radio station. I know that could use some growth funds, so that works. Okay, so
in reality, nationally, show attendance was way up this year because most of the directors of the shows have been really working hard, doing a very good job on getting attendance. The exhibitors are up this year. I don't know if the sales are following. I'm trying to get a report on that. But that will be in a once I start recording. Now I'll have some of the down and dirty news on trade show finances.
All right. Before actually, no, go ahead, Barbara. Jump in. And then I got a follow-up for him. And you just mute yourself. There you go.
Right. I have to go back to your wife is making the noodles because why? Sorry, but okay. This is really elementary. Water, and then you put the noodles in. I don't understand. Could you please explain, Howard?
I want it. She cooks it.
Okay. God bless your wife.
It sounds pretty nasty. I mean, what can I say? It was her idea to make it.
Here's what you can say. You can say, I am a blessed man. I have an amazing wife.
I have a Swedish wife. I mean, what more could I ask for?
You are living the dream, or living the dream.
That's right.
I am. I mean, my last name was O-N. Her last name was O-N. It was, made in heaven.
There you go. Love it.
I'm her Oli and she's my Lena. I mean,
they came over on with Leif Erikson.
Yeah, you betcha.
All right. So I'll take us back to the business side of trade shows, but God, I love having female co-hosts. It's so cool. What about virtual? Because I keep seeing the virtual trade show popping up. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I did not do the virtual trade show this week. I know there was On the Bus was running this week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I did not do that this time.
Okay. So,
I don't know if they've made some. I don't know if they did some some programming upgrades from the last time I was there. So I cannot talk about that because I wasn't there.
All right. So I have two questions. In your experience, A, who are you meeting there, industry-wise? And B, what's the follow-up like?
Okay. Well, we'll start with the last question. Follow-up wise, there is none. From specifically On the Bus, I'll pick on them because, almost any, well, I shouldn't say that. An Asian trade show, those guys are fanatical. They're all over you. They will grab your email address, they will find your phone number, and they will attack. I mean, they are, especially Hong Kong is. I've been on their radar screen for a while, and the Indian trade online trade shows are really crazy, but they collect data. The On the Bus, you just sort of weave through, and nobody collected information on you. So it's like, okay, you're telling me all about you, but I have no way to contact you once the show's over. And you have no way to contact me because nobody's collected the data. So it's very sad. The types of businesses that were at the On the Bus that I did do fit a lot. At least 30% of them fit very well to me, being a business-to-business marketing person. But they were all over, from a person that was write your own book, I'll help you, to I forget what some of the other ones were, but
okay.
The right people were there, but they had no way to collect the data, which is sad, because if you can't follow up, I don't know why you're there. I mean,
Barbara.
Yes.
Any comments besides his wife?
Okay, yes, I do have a comment. I think it's very interesting that you're right about the data collection that happens. And no, you're right. It does not happen on a bus. People just get on and off the bus, and there's no data collection there at all. When you get on an airplane, everybody knows. When you know, and you go, obviously, you go to one of your expos, everybody knows. But that's very interesting thought that you can get, and same with a taxi, right? Taxi or a bus. You take a taxi anywhere, you take a bus anywhere. You're not going to get tracked. Same with the subway. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So he's talking about a very specific trade show group there that's on the bus.
But most of them do track.
Okay, Kat, any follow-up, and then let's introduce our guest.
Yay.
I think we've blabbed on enough. I want to get to these guests. I want to hear about them. They look so interesting.
Woohoo.
All right, so since you said that, who you want to pick on first?
Well, we got to go with the guy that's got a reptile on his screen, because that ties in beautifully to the tortoise. And I have had a chameleon before, and they are amazing creatures. So that's really got my attention. So, of course, we got to bring Robert on.
All right, so we'll bring Robert on. And I find it really interesting you went to a reptile.
I mean, come on, it tracks, right?
I get it. And Robert, I've known for a while, and yeah, he's old as a reptile. It's all good. But dude it knows everybody. For the Pillars of Franchising show, and I said I'm looking for a sports figure, he actually got me Doug Plank, former legendary Chicago Bear. Howard would remember. Anyone in Chicago would.
Yeah. And Chicago was good.
when Chicago was good. And so Robert is a phenomenal networker and has his own Better Change podcast. And honestly, I'm going to hit him with part of the Howard question soon. But Barbara, what do you want to know most about Robert after what I said?
Well, I would love to hear a little biography. Tell me more about you, Robert.
Question is, where do I start? I'm a serial entrepreneur. Our family started the high school award cheerleading jacket business group in Minnesota, and the challenge was too much family in the family business, and I realized I had to leave the business, which I walked away September 7th, 1990, moved to Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. I've been happily married for 40 years. And we lived there for 7 years and now live in Northern California. My wife likes to say, from too cold, too hot, just perfect.
That's right. It is. I have to agree with her there. Oh, my goodness.
Right. So then the first question I'll ask is, and this is blame Kat, but how'd you come up with a reptile?
Well, my business partner being from Chicago, who you've met, and we started off in Clubhouse and migrated over to doing Zoom, and we came up with the name Better Change. So it's like, what's more appropriate for better change, but a chameleon. And so, but you're talking about tortoises, and it just so happens my wife collects tortoises. They're not the ones that are live, but anytime I need it or would like to figure out what I should get her, it's a tortoise.
Okay, Kat, after that, there's no way I can't come to you and say, what's your next question?
Well, I absolutely love that there's a tortoise connection on. I mean, who knows how many people are walking around with tortoise connections? We just don't talk about it enough. So thank you, Phred, for bringing that up. But I love that you used the chameleon as your token for better change. But what does better change mean to you?
The constant in life is change. I take a look at from when I started, and I've got a cousin, and Phred knows this, who approximately 65, 70 years ago wrote a song. And in the lyrics of the song, where you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, times are a-changing, my friend. So what does it mean? I take a look at all the changes that have happened since I've been an entrepreneur. And there's, the one constant in life is change. And it's how you adapt to the change, how you recognize the change, and how you use the change appropriately. We take a look at what's going on today in AI. And how is that impacting you? Or how is that impacting business? So you take a look at all the changes, and it's recognizing and adapting to the changes and using the changes in a way that will help you accomplish whatever you're looking to accomplish.
Barbara?
Yes, Phred?
You want to take a swing at it?
Well, I think there's a lot of change happening. Like you said, Robert, it'd be great if it was better change. And I think there's a lot of things that are really great about AI. And there's also some things that are extremely dangerous about AI. And I don't even want to breathe it out there because I don't want to get anybody any ideas. But man, it can be really, really bad. For people that have ill will or bad intentions, it can be really, really bad.
So the thing is when I hear better change, I think like upgrading from silver dollars to gold doubloons, but okay, that's just me. And Howard remembers just kind of like gold chunks. All right, so
Yeah.
Here's we'll go to the AI. Go ahead, Howard.
As in Morticia Adams.
Uh-huh. So I want to go to the AI thing, and AI is everywhere. Our theme song is AI generated. I do like AI music generation.
So easy. Yeah.
And it is so easy, but ultimately I look at AI as one of the greatest tools for advancement in mankind's history. And do you know what that was? Dynamite. Dynamite allowed the creation of roads through that Cat drove around through Europe on. It paved the U.S. It cut through mountains. It built cities. And yet, would you put a stick of dynamite in every idiot's hand?
Definitely not, Fred. To answer that question, no.
So
let me think about that one.
I know everybody's like, would you? No.
And I ultimately believe that AI will take us to the point where you cannot trust any video or audio you hear, unless, of course, it's me swearing at you. But what I do want to get into before we bring our next guest in is, as Howard was talking, I was thinking about virtual AI conferences. Robert, any thoughts?
Yes, lots of thoughts. And first of all, let me talk about the negative part of AI, because there definitely is a negative part in AI. My business partner, who again, Fred, Jim Feldman, Shift Happens, he came up with the romance scam expert. And the amount of money that people have been scammed when they're most vulnerable, looking for that lifelong partner.
That's right.
So there is a negative to AI. So let's take a look at going back to the question that you asked, because I know the people on the bus, Chris, who started it. I was on an AI conference, and one of the guys that has created the AI, some of the AI software, which is 3D.tv. And so I was on one yesterday. They're doing the prototype in Easy Way. But back to what you're talking about, it's like, as a networker, and I've been networking my whole life, going to conferences and trade shows. And to me, it's up to me to take responsibility. When I meet somebody that ultimately that I want to connect with, I'm going to grab their contact information, no question about it. So I take the responsibility, but there will be more of your online networking events that are happening. And, being in business since 1990, obviously 2020 totally changed. And, everything that's going on. I love Zoom. I don't plan to do much in-person networking anymore, even though that's how I started. I'll be going to, just so happens, Mark Porteous, the Social Leadership Retreat in February. That's been in where I'm going to travel for that. I'll probably be going or possibly going to Kimberly Crow's Influencers Cruise, but the majority of what I'm going to be doing in the future will be definitely online. It's more time effective, and a lot of it goes back to the value you put on your time. And I can be very productive in the online networking events.
Howard is about to have an apoplexy if he doesn't answer. So go ahead, Howard.
Well, in networking, that's why God created trade shows.
Yeah.
I can do more in 3 days at a trade show than I can do in 6 months. I can meet with more people, I can talk with more people, I can attend more conferences, and actually shake more hands, literally, not just figuratively, and get their contact information, thank you, still the art of handing over a business card in a trade show, than I can in a Zoom meeting.
So, Barbara?
Yeah. Well, I've been on a lot of networking platforms that use Zoom. I love Zoom too, Robert. So it's such a great platform. It's intuitive, easy to use, and since COVID, everybody knows about Zoom, which is great. I teach online classes and I use Zoom, and it used to be a struggle to get people to get their microphone set up and their headset or their speakers working, or they'd get feedback. And ever since COVID, there's been no issue. I say Zoom and everybody goes, "Oh, great!" So it's a wonderful platform. I agree with you there, and there are. It's funny you mentioned Kim Crow and Mark Podius. I know both of them as well. I haven't met them in person, but I know them through Zoom. So it's an interesting thing, and I agree. Networking, even on Zoom, can be good. And Howard, you're right. You're going to grab a lot more Well, you're not going to grab a business card on Zoom, but here's what you can do. Well, you can save the chat, and on one of the JV, or I'll call it the networking groups that Mark Podius runs, that's what they let you do. Everybody puts their information. They get hundreds of people on there. So they get 100 people dropping their information in the chat, and then they ask everybody to save the chat. So you have everybody's contact information that way. And it's not as neat as having a business card in your hand, but it works.
Okay. So, nope. Both the old dudes keep their mouths shut. Because I'm going to give Kat a shot at this, and then I'm going to point out something that Howard said of where the constraint is. But go ahead, Kat.
You know those like dolls where you like squeeze them and the eyes bulge out? That was Robert and Howard just then. Our listening audience. It's really interesting that we're bringing this up, because just this morning, I saw an article where they had done a study on the Vermeer painting of the girl with the pearl earring. And so they had done a study where they were measuring people's brain activity of looking at the actual painting versus looking at reproductions of the painting. And there was 10 times more activity in the brain from actually looking at the real painting that had been painted by hand versus a excellent reproduction of the exact same thing. And so that's really been swirling around in my brain lately, because I have, similar to Barbara, have met so many people through Zoom that I feel as if I know them. And when I think about I've never actually been in the same physical space, it kind of blows my mind. So I'm kind of wrestling, and I don't know if I necessarily have a question, but it's such an interesting thing to think that we can feel like we know someone so completely through this digital piece versus actually being in there to be able to, shake hands with someone and have that physical connection as well. So I don't really have a question. That was really me just rambling.
No, I love that, because nope. We're going to bring our last guest in first after this, because it's not fair that she doesn't get to play this before we go to Kat's question. But the constraining factor is Howard said B2B. And what I find in most online networking is you don't get a lot of B2B. The size of companies that are coming to trade shows, I don't tend to see those folks out networking a whole lot. And to me, that's one constraining factor. The other one is what Kat just hit is at that trade show, I can tell by meeting somebody in person, I can tell if they smell bad or react bad, or they got this whoppingly large sore coming out of their head, or the crazy hair. I don't mind that. So nope, don't go there, man. So we're gonna bring our last guest in. Come on down, Stacey Altomari. Did I butcher that?
No, it's perfect. Altomari.
Tell us who you are and how you ventured down this rabbit hole.
Well, thank you for inviting me to this rabbit hole. It certainly has been interesting. I'm Stacey Altomari. I'm from Connecticut, as I've said before. I am an EFT practitioner. What does that mean? It means I help people navigate through their emotions. I literally help them understand them, break them down, find out where they came from, how they may not be serving them anymore, and how to reprogram the brain to a better way of thinking and being. I am also an ASEA representative, and so between the two, I think of my practice as a whole body wellness, because I deal with mental through EFT, I deal with spiritual through life coaching, and I deal with physical through ASEA.
Okay, so I want to go to the EFT thing. So
Sure.
I always find it better when I get an incoming electronic funds transfer rather than an outbound electronic funds transfer.
I know, and that's often a mistaken identity, right? EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It's also known as tapping, where we tap on acupressure points on the body. It's actually acupuncture, but without the needles. So we're tapping on acupressure points with the body while we're speaking about our emotion, how we're feeling.
No
And
needles?
as we do so, we're sending a calming signal to the brain. It shuts down your monkey brain, and it allows you to come back to a state of presence and awareness and calm. And it also helps lower, obviously, cortisol, stress levels, and whatnot. But it also brings you to the frontal part of your brain where you can think properly and make really good decisions instead of from the amygdala that is giving you all the past experiences and how to keep yourself safe.
So I'll tell you, I'm going to go back to this. Large inbound EFTs, cash-wise, really make my life much better. Barbara, you look like you were going to go off the glow scale there when she started talking. Bring it on home.
Oh, well, my goodness. I just want to, for the listeners out there, to let you know that Stacey is absolutely beautiful. And you can see her glowing energy from, we were on camera here, so we get to see everybody too. And she's just gorgeous. And you can tell energetically that you are everything that you just talked about. You're calm, you're at peace, you are emanating a beautiful love and a welcoming energy. So yeah,
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. That's got to be the kindest thing anyone said to me in a really long time.
Oh my goodness.
Aw.
And that's okay. That's only from where they're coming from. It's all right with me.
That's right. That's right. They obviously haven't seen you and don't know you.
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness.
Wait a minute. Now, we see her, right? This is online. Don't we know her?
Well, I actually can sense a lot about Stacey and who she is by seeing her. Even though we're not energetically in the same room, her energy that she projects and emanates is powerful and healing, in my opinion.
Ooh, releasing
Okay.
energy. Okay, I'm going to come back to that, but go ahead, Kat. I'm going to go back to a incident I had about releasing energy discussion yesterday, I think it was. But go ahead.
With the question of the day, or just a question for Stacey specifically?
Just a question for the Stacey.
Well, I love tapping. I have done tapping for years. It is an incredible practice that I enjoy as well. And just talking about energy, I mean, seeing is light, which is energy. So of course that makes sense back to Barbara's point about being able to do it. But my question for you, Stacey, is how did you come across EFT and, going, and this kind of ties into Robert, this better change, that concept, EFT is something that you can incorporate into your life to make better changes. But sometimes people are really resistant to change, and especially change they don't understand. So I'd love to hear in your words, how you talk to people about this process and help them to overcome that sort of resistance and inertia to it.
Thank you for the question. I got into EFT through ASEA. ASEA sent me to a self-development course that actually showcased EFT in the first session. And in that first session, I learned forgiveness, and forgiveness of myself, not of anyone else. So by learning forgiveness, I was like, holy crap, what more is there? I mean, that's like the biggest thing you can ask of yourself on any given day. And so how much more is there in EFT? So I researched it and just jumped on that bandwagon. How I teach people about EFT. Well, I just remind them that we all have emotions. And in my sessions, I hold sacred space. And I call it sacred because it's the one place on the planet where you can go and be heard. I mean, just heard. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to criticize you. And I'm certainly not going to fix you. You are not broken. And I need people to know that. They aren't broken. They have experiences. They have events. They have stories. They have patterns. And a lot of it is just from generational. And some of it is just from their experiences and what they were taught as a child, but everything boils down to what you were taught as a child. So it's reprogramming and retraining and reparenting your inner child to let them know it's okay now. I don't know what happened back then, but now it's okay and it's safe.
So Howard has a problem with this because you got to remember, his folks were the Viking raiding party. So that whole forgiveness thing, it doesn't tend to go into this thing. I love picking up.
And everyone deserves forgiveness.
Absolutely.
So when I think about this, I also think about the movie John Wick 2 and the way it ends. And have you ever seen the movie? Okay. So it's Keanu Reeves and wonderful series. And yeah, there are times where there's a couple of people I could see ending the movie with like that, but we won't go there. So let's take us to the question of the day.
So my question of the day for everyone is around the concept of work-life balance. And so my question to each of you is, what are your thoughts on work-life balance, and what advice would you have given to your younger self to achieve a better balance?
Ooh.
So should we go back to Stacey since she just had the floor?
You're going to dump that one on her to start.
Dump anything on me.
I was going to make at least Barbara take a swing at that one first. But you want to pick Stacey?
I've got it, honey. I've got it.
Bring it, woman.
Got it. She can handle it.
Yeah. Listen, your whole body is designed for balance. Every part of your body is designed for balance. You're not even consciously aware of half of the balance that goes on in your body. And for example, your tears. Your tears are a reset button to your nervous system. They aren't what we believe they are. They're actually vitally important to reset your nervous system and find balance. So a great way to find work and life balance, right, is to set boundaries. The funny thing about boundaries is you have to honor them yourself if you want others to. So it's noticing the boundaries that you're setting, and then are you allowing people to cross them, or are you actually holding true to those boundaries because they are vitally important for you and you do matter?
Now do we pick on Barbara? But if we pick on Barbara now, that gives all male responses after that, and that's boring. So pick a male, Kat.
Well, let's go back to Robert then.
Okay.
Kind of just work it backwards.
That's fine. You wanted to repeat the question, my friend?
So the question I have for you, Robert, is around work-life balance. What are your thoughts of that more, sort of philosophically? And is there any advice you would have for your younger self around that topic?
The answer is work-life balance is extremely important. And where I was out of balance when I started off, because when I started knowing that I had to leave the family business, I was very much focused on work. And that's part of how I got a plaque from United. I have traveled over 2 million miles, air miles. So I've done a little bit of traveling, but I've really swung back to, and that's why when March of 2020, and why most of what I'm doing now is being there with my wife, and she's the most important thing. It's like I just came back from a 21-day trip throughout Asia. It's like my whole goal at this point is to go wherever she wants to go. Everything's focused. We talked about, why I'm focused, totally, for the most part, online. And it goes back to what Barbara talked about, being in the Mark Porteous event. My other business partner is Tom Gay, and he created ChatBridge. So you're able to go into the Zoom, take all the information out. Now it's your strategy of developing that relationship with whoever you're looking to develop a relationship with. People are judging. It was like Barbara, Barbara said, as soon as she saw Stacey show up, she had certain judgments. But the key in every relationship, and I take a look at dating, it's, are people congruent? To me, work-life balance is very important, but it's developing those meaningful relationships. As a networker, I've developed the art of developing quality relationships. I originally met Phred. I haven't met him in person. It just so happens I met Kimberly Crow. I met Mark Porteous in person. I mean, I'm a hugger. I love to hug people. That's just who I am. So I sort of miss that. But as you take a look at the value of your time as it relates to your vision of where you're looking to accomplish, and you've got to have balance in everything, my opinion, you've got to have balance. So, but going back to the question that I would, ask my, younger self, because my life changed when I listened to a Wayne Dyer cassette tape series. And I started to realize the changes that I needed to make, because we all get programmed a specific way. And the way I made those changes was a combination of the experience and changing my mind based on listening to much more of the audio tape. So anyhow, that's my synopsis. And by the way, Howard, I love trade shows. I've gone to more of them. Trade shows are important. I mean, I used to do them all the time. My favorite one now is I collect sports memorabilia. Wow. And that one has really picked up, but yes.
All right. So, Barbara, you want to chime in on anything Robert said?
Well, I think it's interesting that the thing that I miss most from teaching over Zoom as opposed to teaching in person is the hugs. Just like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I miss. I miss hugging people. The hugs are so amazing. It's a transfer of life energy, between two beings, and that it's it's an emotional connection, but it's healing, and I love it.
Wait a second. Hugs. See,
I'm a hugger.
That's very, very, very geographically biased or prejudiced. Is that right? Yeah. Well, see, I came from the south side of Chicago. Somebody hugging you, they're either going to go for your wallet or they're going to stick a knife in the side at least 8 out of 10 times. So there's I had to learn when I moved out here like 8 years ago, when somebody would hug me, I'd tense up. And they're like, "You're so tense." It's like, yeah, I'm waiting for either the knife or the pick in my wallet.
We got to keep that Midwestern balance here. We got East Coast, we got West Coast. I'm still in Chicago here.
Exactly. All right. So, Kat, you said we're working from backwards. So that means as far back as we can go. Howard, you want to answer Kat's question?
Change. It's like, is this where I want to start? Work-life balance. Let's start. Boy, change instantly makes me think of the White Album. I bought it
old.
I bought it on vinyl. I bought it on tape. I bought it as a CD, and now I've got to buy it again online digitally. It's like change happens, but I don't have to like it. Rocky Raccoon walked into his room only to find Gideon's Bible. And I also think of Grumpy Old Men.
Oh, great
Where
movie.
change was never necessarily a good thing. He always went to the same lake to fish. And then comes this, well, Grumpy Old Men too, this person that out of the bait shop wants to become a restaurante. It wasn't a good thing.
Says the man who's lived 2 centuries.
I grew up with my father. We had a print shop in our basement. I mean, we had a letterpress in our basement that, we printed in our basement. The ultimate of home-based business that grew up. I started working at age 13 making boxes. I mean, my whole life I worked 50 to 60 hours a week. 20 more hours and I'd have a Polish half day or something, You laugh, Fred.
Now we're going back to the discussion of European travels and some of my exploits in Europe, and we don't need to go into those.
In the end, nothing changes. What I'm doing today is what I did in the 70s and 80s, only with different tools. I still use the phone, even if it's a digital phone. I don't fax people to death. Now I email them to death. So things change, but they don't change. As far as balance...
Thank you for getting there, dude.
I've been reading a book that I picked up.
Digitally or...
10X.
Wait, digitally or actual book or parchment?
Oh, actual book.
Okay,
I
but
have
not
to read.
not
and
parchment.
I can't. It's called 10X, which says if you really want to succeed in your business, you can't just do what you think is the minimum amount of work. You have to put in 10X or 10 times the effort of what you think you have to do in order to succeed. And I also found a little document online that said since 2013, only 1/3 of new businesses have succeeded, which is really sad news. Why does this happen that businesses don't succeed? Is it because the owners were not prepared, or that they didn't have the grit to see through to their success?
Ooh.
Which leads me to, what is success? Is it balance? Is it financial? Do you need to push at the front so you can have that back end calmness? I don't know. Maybe Stacey knows. I don't know. I drink coffee with Phred.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, I met Phred drinking coffee. So,
One of my
so
preferred
what
pastimes.
is, where do you find that calmness?
And yet, all right, so let me ask you this. I'm going to dig deep into you. What you've never mentioned on at least this episode is you're a long-term marathon runner.
Yeah.
You still run them, if I understand it right.
I haven't run a marathon for a few years. They're a lot of work.
Okay.
A marathon takes 9 months to prepare for, which means you have to have a total commitment towards one objective.
You got, as Denise Lanton would say, you got to get through the grind to get to the grit. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
So, but when you're running that marathon, you need balance.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you get it from?
Balance.
I I feel like I
Your
stumped you.
balance comes from the training that you put into it.
But okay, and I would agree with that. So the ongoing 9-month training you've got that helps you run that marathon. I'm going to go back to the figure you stated, and Kat, you did really stump him. Good for you. You're always going to be you've also added the Chief Howard interrogator office spot. So what you made the comment on, and I also do find it appalling that the number of small businesses not making it has dropped as low as it has. But when we talk about balance in business and having that grit, that first 9 months of their business, they're still in business. So even they don't get that. To me, I don't think they get the training. And the problem is with a whole lot of the training that's out there, it's done by people that are more academic than they are that do. And so, either Kat or Barbara, I got them quiet. So you want to jump in with a comment on what I just said?
I got one, but
I know. We'll let ladies take their first shots. Go ahead, Kat.
I'll pass it over to Barbara for this.
Yeah, you know what, Phred? I'm sorry. I kind of checked out after you said that I think Howard said the practice or something is how you get balance, or no, what was it that you said, how you get balance? My mind it triggered a neurosynapses in my brain, and my mind went off on that tangent, and I missed everything that was said after that because I was like,
"Oh, you ignored me. That's fine.
That
Wonderful.
Work. I don't even get that." So I was trying to figure it out. So what was it you said, Howard? Balance comes from
practice.
Practice. That's what I thought you said. Okay.
Yeah.
So
basically, that's it.
But we're talking so that's in running, and in a sense, balance in business comes from practice and practice and practice.
Okay. Now there's two types of businesses. There's franchises, and there's start-alones or starting businesses that don't have a franchise in back of them. Now, Phred, you talked about academics. An academic could walk into a franchise and using the franchise system become successful.
Yeah, I'll grant you that.
The person that moves into a business, they're best suited to get a job in that business with somebody that's already in that business, work for 4 years to find out, one, if they really want to do it, and then learn all the nuances of that particular kind of business. And then start.
So what you would tell, you got to understand how to kind of channel Howard. So that younger advice you'd give to somebody else would be to, if you're going to go and do your own small business, intern with somebody else in the field first, whether that's as an internship or a job there for, you said 4 years.
I'm picking 4 years because people with that entrepreneur want to do my own thing. They got they don't want to sit still. They want to go. I got lucky that my father had a graphic arts studio. And so I grew up in this stupid business. So I grew up interning.
The funny thing about you picking 4 years is what I tell the newer franchisees and people who want to buy, from what I've learned, it's 3 to 5 years before you start making money. In other words, it's about 3 to 5 years you're working for the franchise system.
Well, I think any new business, if they think they're going to have any money coming out of it inside of 2 years, probably minimum 3 years, you better have another source of income while you get the thing going.
Kat, you help folks optimize business. Your thoughts?
I got lots of thoughts about this, and I'm glad, Barbara, you were honest when I passed it to you. Is because my brain went on a tangent too, and I just wasn't honest about it. Because I was thinking, how does that work? I have a very different kind of viewpoint on it, and so the thoughts that are kind of coming to my mind are, Sarah Blakely is the founder of Spanx, and she, I think, is just such an incredible entrepreneur and founder. And one of the reasons that she was so successful is because she didn't have any of the institutional knowledge to tell her what she was planning was a bad idea. She had just passion and inspiration and grit to just move forward without having naysayers in the back of her mind saying, no, it doesn't work that way. You can't do it this way. So one part I'm thinking is, when you're working in for a business and you're just being shown what they have been doing, you could miss out on inspiration of not knowing what you don't know and allowing your own genius to shine.
Right.
So I feel like there's places for both because, it's true you don't know what you don't know, but sometimes that can be a gift as well as a curse. I mean, that's the age-old question of the duality of everything. Instead of seeing everything as black and white, it's really and.
Right. And I'll just say, it's interesting you picked 4 years hard. I think it used to be not internship, but it used to be called an apprentice. You become an apprentice and you craft and you master a skill as an apprentice. I think that you could do that and learn, depending on what it is that you're learning about, you could get it down in a couple of years, no more than that for sure. And I'll say this too, a lot of the internet entrepreneurs who are making lots and lots of money built their company very quickly. And a lot of times because they built their company very quickly, there was a problem with scaling too fast. And then they had, problems and they had to reset and go forward again. But, 4 years is a very long time this day and age. Yep. Things move so much faster. There's so much information at your fingertips and you can just really move a lot faster than that. And I'll say one more thing, and that is my coach training company was in the profit within a few months. I was making a profit. So it really just depends on what business you're going after. Yeah. You might have a certain particular industry in mind or something that you're talking about. But boy, when it comes to internet and getting out and making money today, it's a different game for sure.
So, and that ties with Kat's example of the founder of Spanx. She was creating something that was a physical product. I will say about platform development is it takes a while to get it right and in the places you want. Been struggling with that ourselves. All right, so it's time to get Barbara's answer to Kat's question.
Okay, so the question is how do you get balance? What would I tell my younger self? And you know what? I am so happy with who I am today that everything that I have, all my life experiences have helped me to become who I am today. And I'm very pleased with who I am today. So I don't know that I'd have a message to do something different exactly, but I mean, I had my ups and my downs and my struggles and things like that too. And I will say that in 2010, 11, 12, 13, I was working 18-hour days and I was working from home. So that was the benefit, but that meant that I, was there for my kids because I go to the games and the practices and make sure that they got to school and homework and all that stuff. And I'd be up very late at night working while they were sleeping. So it was a lot of work. Would I have done it differently? No, but there was a point where I realized that I didn't have a life per se. And I went, okay, it's time for me to slow this whole thing down and have a life and do things differently. And I'm really grateful for both sides of it. I'm grateful that I was a workaholic. I'm a self-professed workaholic. I was a workaholic, and I worked a lot of hours, and I made a lot of money, and that was all great. And it provided a great childhood for my kids. I was a good provider, if you will, for my kids. And on the other side of that is, at some point you realize that, when they were grown and they could take care of themselves, it's like, okay, time to get off that ride and do something different and take care of me. And I guess from introspection, checking out, what was important to me and what I wanted to do moving forward, now that the kids were grown and out of the house, that's when I met my happily forever after. So, and both of us agree that if we hadn't been through all the things that we've been through, we wouldn't have such deep respect, gratitude, and appreciation for who each other are. So I don't know. I feel, I'm like, right now, I feel so blessed that everything that happened in my life got me to where I am today.
Somehow I heard Helen Reddy singing "Wisdom from the Pain." That's kind of what I'm hearing there. Interesting topic.
Yes, great question, Katrin.
So, to everyone on the show, as well as all of our listeners, tomorrow is. In answering the question, tomorrow is the 6th Phred Sunday on Avila Beach, in Avila Beach, California. I'll be out there from about 7:30 a.m. till about noon or 1. I'll be the only one out there because, of course, in California it's December and it's only in the 50s or whatever, and it's cold. And Howard's going, cold? You're not talking minus 50, are you?
We are up to 46 here.
Yeah, see, Howard's like, I'm in Chicago, dude. Minus 50 is where it starts to get cold. So I will be out there, and it's called Phred Sunday because 6 years ago, on actually technically December 1st, I woke up the day after, some would say being hit by a freight train, or I had a massive heart attack, blacked out at a stoplight, rolled through, hit a street sign, somebody called the ambulance, and I came to on a operating room table before they took me in. And when you wake up there, you got very little idea. There's some images of inside an ambulance after I heard the guy, it's going to take 4 of us to get him out of the car, but I think those might be from a movie. I don't know. But when you wake up that way and you're dead, you get to your purpose in life. The only thing I give a crap about staying around was my granddaughter. Seeing that first Christmas present, which coincidentally was a t-shirt that said, Big Sister. My daughter's way of letting the family know it was she had another grandkid come in, and that was 25 days after that heart attack. I woke up that next day, and so every year I celebrated being on the beach, giving thanks to God that I'm still here, and that when I'm with the grandkids, everything it doesn't matter, and that's when I know balance has been achieved, is when I'm with them and I can blot out whatever's going on. That said, besides grandkids are the best and raise good kids, I'd tell you, to my younger self, to always be grateful the day that God gave you. Kind of boring advice, but
Well, it gave me chills. I mean, just thinking about, what that must have been like, and what a gift that you have to have gone through that. And it's one of those things where you think about, like, in the moment, it seems so terrible, but with time and, introspection, you can see what a blessing.
So it took 5 years for me to truly come to understand the lessons of that night. Actually, I understand them every day, but that first day I was home. So there are a couple of things, and one of the precursors was the doctor let me go home on a Tuesday, sent me home on a Tuesday, following Tuesday. And I told him I'd stay the following day for another thingy up to go through to see if everything was okay. He said, no, I'm going to send you to home. I want you to go home and rest and relax. No work. I said, okay, doc, I got a show to do on Thursday. And so the doc said, I recommend you go home, rest and relax. So after the show, I did. That should have been the precursor to what would happen the following day, which was when I got up, I knew I was supposed to go out and walk. And and there was an overwhelming, almost crushing fear about going out and walking because it could kill me. And at that point in time, I did not believe I'd make 5 years because the research I had already done said a large majority of folks in their 50s who have a heart attack like that don't survive 5 years. And at that moment, it was like, no, dumbass, you are not going to give in to fear. You are going to go out and do whatever you got to do to get there. And I buried it deep, deep, deep in my head. And 5 years later, I was celebrating it, and I told Ray Pillar, Pillar's principles, about it. He looked at me and said, God's will. And I was like, amen, brother. But then I told my partner, and she looked at me and she goes, I knew you would. And I was stunned. I'm like, how'd you know? I didn't know. She goes, you're stubborn.
No.
True words. It took a heart attack for me to know. I was stubborn. The other advice I'd say is when you go in the doctor 45 days before a heart attack and he tells you don't drink as much fluid at night, get a second opinion. All right, Barbara, you want to take a shot at me?
No, I think it's really wonderful that you had your awakening and a second chance. And I'm really glad you're here. And I understand about the grandkids being a great reason to keep going because they bring so much joy and innocence and fun. And, for me, it takes me back to my childhood, and we get to play, and I let my inner child out, and we do so many fun things. And it's a blessing. It's a true blessing. And I'm so grateful to have a grandson that's, with me a lot. And I feel so blessed, so blessed. I know you have to travel to visit yours, right?
Working on that bi-location thing. Yeah, that sounds a bit strange. All right, Kat, now the question's back to you because you literally are telling younger versions of yourself.
And the part of the reason why I asked what you would tell your younger self about work-life balance or just balance in general is I think it's such a scale thing. We're so used to just focusing on, sometimes our current being. But I think about the earth, right? The earth is generally in homeostasis and in balance. And we have, these different seasons that we go through. But if you're only focusing on a short time period of just being in summer, be like, it's out of balance because it's really hot all the time, or if you're just in winter and only focusing on that sort of scale. So I think there's some beauty in having lived, many years that you have that sort of scale that you can zoom out and kind of look at how it ebbs and flows over the time. And is that balance? So I think it's such an interesting question to ask ourselves about what that balance means to us. And I don't like the phrase in general because it presupposes that you don't like your work and that you have to balance it out with life because what you're doing on a day-to-day basis isn't something you enjoy. So I'd love to have people kind of think of that and be like, if we're being human beings and being our best version and self in all the things that we're doing, then you don't necessarily need to try to find that balance because you're whole no matter where you are.
Did I just hear you say a-hole?
I wouldn't dare.
No, but what you said, Kat, was excellent. It's, I think it takes a lot of life experience to come to the realization that you just shared, that we are exactly where we're supposed to be it's divine, and we have the experiences that we're supposed to have to help us grow and have compassion for others. I'm sure, Phred, after your heart attack, if you hear about anybody having heart problems, you're like, oh my gosh, I have compassion for that person, right? And I think that unless we've experienced some of these things ourselves personally, it's hard to understand. We'll never know the depth that a situation has impacted somebody else because we really can't put ourselves in their shoes, but we can have an idea of what they're going through by having gone through something like that for ourselves.
All right, so we're going to go round robin, and we're going to go start at the beginning. So, Stacey, you want to make any, we'll say, last comments on this topic? On anything anybody
absolutely.
said?
Thank you. For me, first of all, you need to check on what balance means to you, because it means something different to everybody. But if you can be happy in work, if you can be happy in your life, if you can be happy with whatever is going on, you found your balance. Balance is being at peace with whatever is, no matter what it is. That's what balance is. It's just knowing that it doesn't matter what's going on, because there's going to be something better to counteract it or to justify it or to, I don't know, to balance it out. So it's a fabulous topic. Thank you, Kat. It's really nice to think of yourself, but when you do, think about where your happiness is, because you should be happy at work. You should be happy at home. You should be happy to spend time with yourself, because we often put that in a box and pack it away. But your balance means actually just spending time with yourself as well. That's the biggest part of your balance, is putting you in there.
You're triggering me. All right, Robert, I'm going to ask you. You get to have any comments on the topic, but one of the things I'm going to throw into you is I'm going to specifically pick on the word happiness. Is there growth when you're happy?
Is there growth? My state of being has always been happy, and I've self-programmed myself for a long time because I understand the power of words. Like when people ask me, how are you? It's either fantastic, awesome, phenomenal, whatever. And I think that goes back to life balance. I think a lot of it goes back to your consciousness, and choices and priorities. My state of conscious is, and it goes back to what the other people are saying. It's the fact that you are where you are supposed to be, but, from a consciousness, right now, and that's part of the reason why I don't want to travel much anymore, because my wife doesn't want to go with me when it's a business trip, and my priority is to be around with her, because she has been, so great about everything. So I think life balance is being conscious and your priorities, and the other part of it, and somebody threw out the word purpose. And, when you're clear on your purpose, and one time I was in at a breakup meeting, and somebody asked them, what's the meaning of life? And the guy didn't hesitate in his response. And that was to live a life of meaning. So if you are on purpose, and my purpose is to live a life of meaning based on helping other people, because there's so much misinformation in the world. And, the key as it relates to our insights and wisdom, we're offering people hope. And to me, there's an acronym for hope, which is helping other people every day. And if your purpose is to live a life of meaning based on having clarity, having a life of balance. And that's really where I've gotten to the point right now. It's like, even though, I mean, I love what I do. I love being able to positively impact. I don't charge people for anything that I do. And people ask, how do I make money? Well, I've made millions and I'm a millionaire. So my whole focus is to be of service to other people and share that positive perspective in helping people without having to charge them. So, but as an entrepreneur, you're always looking to make more money. So don't get me wrong, but I never worry about money, because if you live the law of attraction, you will attract everything into your life, as far as what's supposed to be in your life. So,
all right.
I think I answered your question pretty.
You did, and you've triggered me in a couple of ways, but rather than go that way, and we do need to get to the guy with the most life experience, but as you were talking, Barbara seemed to light off, like, just glowed 10 times more. So, Barbara, do you want to respond to what he said?
I just love hearing what you just shared, Robert. Hope, helping other people every day. Wow. And how does that make you feel? Doesn't that make you feel great to know that you've made a difference in somebody's life? I mean, this is up my alley, Fred. This is what I do. I teach people how to coach so that they can help other people live their best life. And so, yes, it did touch me, and I'm so glad to have met you virtually, Robert. And, I agree with you. If you have purpose, if you have that in your heart and your soul and your spirit, and you're like that, what that is, you're going to grow. I mean, that was the question, Fred, right? Can you be happy and grow? Yes, absolutely. Because you'll be fired up to learn. And how can you do things better? How can I be a better person? How can I be a bigger, better service? How can I give more? What can I do to make a bigger difference today? And when you ask yourself those questions, then it helps you to grow.
Okay, so when he said meaning of life, the thing that triggered me was Monty Python and the Holy Grail was a much better movie than Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. So...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Howard gets... So, Howard, you want to make any last comments on the topic?
The Holy Grail?
No.
Or life?
Well, I'll take either, but no, I mean, just in the topic in general of work-life balance, is there growth in happiness? In other words, part of me says is that if you're not happy with your situation, there's more impetus to grow, so you can grow out of the situation.
Okay, let's start with a Phred rule. Life stops with grandchildren.
Amen.
Grandchildren, my life's a wreck. I mean, I'm sorry, business stops with grandchildren. They're also very expensive, especially when they live in Barcelona, and I'm stuck here in Chicago. I've been, this whole time, I've been going all over the place. I am a person, I love sarcasm, and I love to bait people. I love to bait people to say dumb things so that I can pounce on them. It's fun. It's one of my hobbies.
It's a Chicago thing.
Yeah, but I'm with Robert a little bit. I will tell everybody exactly how I do things, and let them know exactly how I work, and how, if I work with them, what I will do step by step by step. Because guess what? I want them to do it my way. Because then when they run into trouble and say, Howard, help me, I can fit right in, because they're always using my program. So it's a beautiful thing. So I'm lazy. So they're already using my system. You laugh. They're already using my system, so I don't have to work hard. I'm a guy, I can write a $50,000 program on a napkin. And I've done it at the restaurant show where I wrote an entire $50,000 marketing program for an Italian gelante company.
All right. So, before
Go
I
ahead.
give Barbara a shot at you, I want to know, can you make them do the same with a check on a napkin?
What type of check?
A $50,000 check on a napkin. Barb can't hear you.
Made out to Phred.
Exactly. There we go. She truly understands me. Even though we haven't
That's what
met.
electric banking is for.
See, now we're back to the EFT discussion.
Okay. Some IT is good. I relent.
Ooh, folks. That's something big. Oh, you don't hear that often. We've done a phenomenal job here today. All right, Barbara, your last thoughts, and I'm going to give Kat her last thoughts.
All right. Last thoughts on our whole conversation today, or
Yeah.
about this work life? Okay. I mean, we went and covered a lot. We talked about virtual meetings versus in-person meetings, and how many more people we have the opportunity to meet, and how often, or how more often, we can meet more people by being online. I mean, certainly we don't have to get in the car and travel anywhere, or take an airplane or a train. So I feel like we are in a day and age where, we had the information age, but now we are connecting on a much deeper level with people virtually. And I think it's a gift. And I am grateful. It's my kids' joke, because before I started doing coaching, I was a software geek, and I spent a lot of time at my computer because I was coding. And it's the computer for many decades has been my connection to the world. And at one point it was mainly emails that I connected with people via email. And then it became, the smartphone and text messages. And now it's evolved into, then there was FaceTime, but now most people can get onto Zoom and connect virtually like this. And for me, since I do have a grandson, and I want to be present for him as much as possible, not having to get on an airplane and travel somewhere is a gift. And not to say that, at some time in the future, I am planning to do some in-person events, but when I do that, hopefully my grandson will be able to travel too, so it can be a big family event type of thing. So, yeah. And so I guess that's about the virtual events and about that work-life balance thing. I agree with, I think it was, let's see, I think it was Stacey that said, I could be wrong, that, you need to love what it is that you do when you're working. And I think that was something that was truly a gift for me. I loved coding. I loved designing programs. I loved doing the analysis. I loved digging into the code and figuring out what it did and seeing how we could make it better and run faster and all that kind of stuff. I loved it. It was like puzzle solving, and I loved puzzles. And then, now I'm doing the coach training, and again, I love what I do. So, Stacey, I couldn't agree with you more. Loving what you do is so important to feeling good about yourself, I think. I can't imagine, because I haven't ever had to work in a job that I didn't like or where I wasn't appreciated. When I was a workaholic, I got all kinds of accolades for the work that I did. So of course I wanted to keep going back and working and doing everything because it felt good, So, I think you're right about, Stacey, about the work-life balance. It really depends on, do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel good about what you're doing? And, fortunately, I've always been blessed in that regard in terms of working. So that's pretty much all I got there, Fred.
You triggered me twice. One of those things is you're on this show on a Saturday, woman. You're still a workaholic. You just that just ain't cutting it. The other thing is about working what you working what and where you like. If that happened, if people followed that whole scale, we would have no food production, because I spent 10 years in the meat industry and 2 years in a slaughterhouse. And if you got people like killing animals, that's bad for the food supply. So,
But
Kat, I'll give you one more shot. Kat, any last thoughts on, because you started this thing?
I mean, you really took it down with the animal slaughter. Like, what I was going to say is just how beautiful it is that we are meeting here on Zoom. And, Barbara and Phred, I've been on several of these calls with you. I feel like I know both of you. Never actually met you.
Yep.
In person, in physical, and been on a couple with Howard, and I'm so glad to have met Robert and Stacey and getting to share these thoughts. And I think my thought is just how beautiful it is to have this space where we can come in, share our own opinions based on our life experiences, and be so open to hearing each other's thoughts without there being that kind of judgment, but in a place where we can still not necessarily like push back, but at least, ask those other questions. But it's such a lovely environment in which to do that. And I think the world needs more of these kind of environments where we can have places where we agree with each other and places where we disagree, but still coming in such a welcoming environment and open environment. And I'm grateful to that, for that from you, Fred.
That's the first time I think I've heard ever that an environment that I'm in is welcoming.
It takes a certain type of person, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So last question, and then we'll get everybody else to go enjoy their non-workaholic Saturday.
Can I put in one comment on this one?
All right. I'll be nice. Go ahead.
I want to connect Monty Python with meatpacking to high tech.
Go for it, dude. I think I know where this is going, and I can do this.
You know exactly where Spam-A-Lot, Monty Python, to spam the meat packing, which leads us to the Spam Museum, which is free, leads us to high-tech email marketing. There you go.
I'm down with that.
Spam.
I buy that. I will share one of my favorite Monty Python stories. Is when I was working in the slaughterhouse, doing technology. The project manager is this grizzled old ex-British SAS slaughterhouse expert. He's running a plant in Georgia about 40 miles north or 200 miles north of the Kazakhstan line, I think it is these days, and he's in his 80s. But I remember I was out with him one night. Dude didn't drink. And I looked at him. He had this thick Scottish brogue. And I said, who's the most important Scottish or most famous Scottish person? And he thought, and he came back with some poet. And I looked at him and I said, I thought it was Angus Podgorny. And he looked at me and he said, who's Angus Podgorny? And I said, he's the Scotsman who won Wimbledon after they fended off the Blancmange invasion from the planet Skyron. And he knew exactly what I meant, and he started cackling. So,
I'm just stuck on Robert Burns.
I was on Andrew Carnegie.
So, Stacey, how do people get a hold of you?
You can contact me at Altomari, Stacey@gmail.com. You can call me at 475-449-8891. You can check me out on my website, EFT4wellness.com. And just about anyway, send some fairy dust my way. I'll probably reach it and send something back to you.
Sweet. Robert, how do people get a hold of you?
First of all, Stacey, I can't believe you gave your phone number out. I don't know about you, but I never answer a phone if they're not in my contact list, so I can't give out my phone number. But the best way to reach me, and my name is Robert Butwin, and what I really want people to know is when you connect with Robert, you will do nothing but win. And my easiest way to reach me is Butwin, BUTWIN, @gmail.com.
So thank God you don't have a D on that, because otherwise you'd go back to my story of releasing energy that wasn't fun in the room after I ate chili the other night that my wife fixed me. So Howard, how do people get a hold of you?
Howard Larson, Larson Associates, 847-489-0006. Yes, I do answer the phone, and I talk. Or email me at howard@LARSONASSOCIATES.WS.
And that's not a .com, folks. That's a WS.
Because it's cheap, and I'm Norwegian.
He's Norwegian. Hence all the Viking jokes. Kat, how do people get a hold of you? And what are we going to see on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly soon?
Oh, that's a good question. We're doing some restructuring on The Good, Bad, and Ugly, so there'll be some different structured content, but that is currently airing on Wednesdays on Kphred Radio at 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. A great way to reach me is to connect with me on any of the socials. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, under Katrin Becker, CatrynBecker, or you can go to my website at www.optimizewe.com.
Awesome. And that is a .com. Yeah, I'm not going to go there. Oh, that would be really bad. Barbara?
Oh my goodness, Fred. Good job on holding back.
Thank you. Balance. There is some balance on my part, not much, but some.
All right. To get a hold of me, you can go to lifecoachtrainingonline.com, and there's a contact page there that has all the ways you can possibly get a hold of me. So lifecoachtrainingonline.com. How about you, Fred?
So, I'm going into grandkid mode, which is actually what I was going to talk about. Normally, as our listeners know, we're live first and third Saturdays, but I'm going to be hanging out with my grandkids on the next Saturday, and ain't no one cracks me out of that. That's just, that's asking for full frontal Armageddon, Fred. So the
only
next,
hand grenade.
Exactly, and then some. Didn't stale. So the next Kphred Prime Live will be Saturday, January 4th. And at that point, we're going to be back at the dial-in phone number, and we're going to have 1-724-9-Kphred. And that's going to be the best way to get a hold of me. So 1-724-9-Kphred. Or fill out a form on kphred.com, or listen on Get Me Radio, or all the wonderful places that Deanna Brakefield, our chief foot officer, has gotten onto the Kphred website on how to listen. So,
Excellent.
Exactly.
So can we do one more time, remind people that if they know someone that has a Blog Talk Radio show and they'd like to still receive call-in listeners and have live conversations, that the place that they can do that is kphred.com, KPHRED.com. So please reach out and connect with us there.
I can't think of anything better, so that means it's time for some music.
Okay. This is where only Fred can hear the music, and he rocks out, and we are just watching.
Yes. Very enlightening.
I feel like there's lots of times where only Fred can hear the music.
That's true.
Yep.
So, funny story. So I went to an engineering college. So I mean, everyone there was engineers. So you think everyone's a fairly high level of intelligence.
Yes, yeah.
And, I was with one of my roommates, and we were watching Dirty Dancing, and she's sitting there eating popcorn, and she looks at me, and it's one of the montage dance scenes, like where they're on the log dancing, and she looks